When we're talking about the question of safeguards, right, sometimes it's appropriate to err on the side of caution. What does this mean? Basically, it means that sometimes we will look at the potential for mistakes and abuses, and will adopt an especially strict set of standards, right, to minimize the possibility of mistakes and abuses. And we'll do that even knowing that we'll end up not allowing the practice in cases where ideally it would be allowed. Right? So there's cases where we look at it and we're like, you know what? If we had the perfect set of safeguards, we'd probably allow you to do that. We'd allow the police to engage in search and seizure. We'd allow the government to collect the data, whatever it is. Right? But, right, given the huge potential for mistakes and abuses, we're going to end up forbidding it in certain cases, right? Because giving a less strict set of safeguards would open up too many problems. So let's take the example of search and seizure. Someone might propose this. They might say, you know what? Police abuse of search warrants has become serious enough. Maybe we think it's turning into a rubber stamp. So we're going to put a new rule in place. A policeman can't go to more than one judge. Right? In fact, he can't choose the judge. Right? He has to go through a mechanism by which the judge is randomly chosen, and only that judge can authorize it. We might do that. Right? And if we did that, we would probably be erring on the side of caution. We might say, you know what, there's some cases where they're going to get that judge that never allows search warrants, or the judge is going to have a bad day or be in a bad mood or whatever it is, and they won't be able to get the evidence that will convict a dangerous criminal. Right? But we would decide, yes, that's a problem, but given the risk that the police will abuse the search warrant, we're justified in erring on the side of caution. Now, of course, we might go the other direction. Right? You could say err on the side of caution in the sense of permissiveness. We might look at it and say, you know what? We could do that. We could have that very strict standard on the police, but right, the potential dangers of letting dangerous criminals go free are great enough that we ought to err on the side of permissiveness, slightly on the side of permissiveness, and say, you know what? That would cut out some mistakes and abuses, but right, the concern, it would let enough dangerous criminals go free, right, that we're not going to do that. Okay? So it's a case where it's a balance. Right? But I want to stress it's a balance where you don't always aim at the perfect balance. Sometimes what we have to do is say, you know what, we're not going to get the perfect balance. So we have to decide whether we're going to err on the side of extra restrictions or on the side of permissiveness. Right? And depending on the issue, and sometimes depending on the particular criterion in question, right, we might decide that we're justified in going in one direction or the other. But I would stress, we have to be careful about saying that because we have to be careful about saying that because we can't get the perfect set of safeguards, we are going to ban the practice entirely. Right? It's not clear that that's a good way to do. Right? It seems like we're justified sometimes in taking risks in order to get certain benefits.